Hello there, my name is Marcelle, and on behalf of Astromatrix, today I'm here to talk to you about the full moon that's coming up on the 22nd of August. And before I dive into that, I'd just like to ask, please, if you do enjoy our content, to like and subscribe to our channel, as we are posting regular updates. And then do stay till the end of the reading, because we will be doing a tarot reading on behalf of the collective related to the full moon in Aquarius. So that's what this full moon is. It's in Aquarius again. It's the second full moon in Aquarius in 1 month. And so this is really, really applicable, pivotal, powerful, also because of the new moon that has happened 2 weeks before in Leo. So the first full moon that happened a month ago was at 1 degrees of Aquarius. And this full moon is happening at 29 degrees of Aquarius. So the full moon at 1 degree is very much, in Aquarius, it was very much about introducing something new, considering something new, exploring something new, or possibly expanding into something new. Whereas this full moon in Aquarius at 29 degrees is about the realization, the actualization, something potentially around the theme of the Aquarius energy completing. So something coming to its culmination because it's at that final degree. So whenever we have a full moon, we also have the opposition with the sun, which is in Leo at 29 degrees. And with the full moon, it's a time of culmination. It's a period of endings, revelations, realizations, and things coming into fruition. So having the moon in Aquarius and the sun in Leo, we have this tension of oppositions. The sun is all about the I. It's very proud. It doesn't want to have to fit in and be part of the crowd. It wants to stand creative, tall as an individual. Whereas the Aquarius energy is very much about a higher vision, very much, but it's very much about serving the community. It's about working together towards a greater vision. So there is this tension that's playing out, and it's activated during the new moon in Leo 2 weeks before, simply because it's asking, what are my values? What are my needs? And so we go through this process leading up to this full moon, where we are able to find a healthier balance between the two. So the first moon in Aquarius, the first full moon, was definitely a challenging full moon, whereas this full moon in Aquarius is much lighter. The aspects that are playing out during this full moon is much more harmonious. So we have a trine, an air trine, between a grand trine in the air signs of the North Node in a conjunction with Ceres in Gemini. And then we have Saturn in Aquarius in a trine to Venus in Libra. So the Venus and the Saturn conjunction are very much to do with, because Venus is in its rulership in Libra, it's to do with relationships, it's to do with the other, and working together harmoniously. When we have a trine, it's a harmonious aspect. The North Node in the mix has to do with fate and where we're needing to move towards. When we create that conjunction with Ceres, between Ceres and the North Node, we have this mothering, nurturing quality for where it is that we're needing to go. So there is this support that's happening with this grand air trine, and it's very intellectual. However, at the same time, we also have a conjunction between, and it's coming out of the conjunction that would have happened a few days before, between Mars and Aquarius, which has the potential to be quite heated. So Mars and Mercury, I apologize, both in Virgo. So Mercury is in its rulership in Virgo, so it's a strong Mercury, but when it comes into a conjunction with Mars, there can potentially be a cutting element to it, because Mars is the planet of war. So this conjunction, exact conjunction, would have happened a few days before, which allows us, as always, to feel that build-up, that tension as the moon starts getting fuller. And it's almost as if there's that eruption, the pimple pops, there's a release around the full moon. And I feel that this full moon brings a lot of clarity to it, especially because the Mercury is in opposition to Neptune. And the Mars, which is now the Mercury is starting to separate from the Mars. So it's only at 2 degrees, but it's still starting to separate from what may have been combustive and explosive when that conjunction happened at its exact. And so as it separates, there's the realization or the understanding. And the reason I say that is because Mercury comes into an opposition to Neptune. So Neptune is normally about illusion, deception, fogginess, not seeing things clearly. However, it is in its rulership in Pisces, and Mercury is in its rulership in Virgo. So there's another tension that's playing out. It's the Virgo-Pisces tension. And it's this tension of needing to put everything into boxes, having structure, order, control, uniformity, versus allowing things to flow, going with the flow, and dissolving any of that rigidity that we hold mentally around how things should be. So I feel like there could be a potential build up of that, and then there's the realization and the shift that comes. Especially because the Mars, which is now separated from Mercury by 2 degrees, comes into a trine to Uranus. So this can be very exciting. The Venus in a trine to Saturn in the grand air trine, as well as the Mars in a trine to Uranus, can speak of relationships that happen during this time, but possibly not to be taken too seriously, just something to be enjoyed, especially with that Neptune in opposition to Mercury in the mix. So we also have, during this period, the moon in Aquarius comes into a conjunction with Jupiter. So again, Jupiter being the planet of expansion, we experience a much more positive emotional outlook. The moon connects to the mother, and when it comes into a conjunction with Jupiter, along with, I feel, Ceres in a conjunction to the North Node, it's really calling us to head in a direction that not only nurtures ourselves, Leo, and our creativity and our needs, but is also a nurturing of a bigger picture, working with a collective around us where we all start working together. And so having that North Node in a conjunction with Ceres, as well as the moon in a conjunction with Jupiter, this feels incredibly expansive. This full moon feels like there's powerful realizations. There could be a lot of excitement. Things are really flowing and working together, and possibly even some powerful realizations that come out of it as a result of the intensity of the new moon before that, as well as the Mars-Mercury conjunction. So we are really entering into a powerful period, which I feel with this Aquarius full moon is very much activating the Aquarius theme that was set in motion in December last year, when we had Saturn and Jupiter coming into a conjunction. Saturn-Jupiter coming into a conjunction in Aquarius. And it's very much starting to explore what are the responsibilities that we're needing to take around not only what our needs are, but how we can serve that and work that in more of a unison with others. And so this full moon, I believe, will bring some answers and clarity to that, as well as some expansion and joy after what has been intense over the last few months. So a lot of the planets are still in retrograde, which means that this is still a period of review. Uranus would have just gone retrograde, and that's the last planet to go retrograde for the year. So having it in a retrograde motion, in a trine to the Mars, along with Saturn in a trine to Venus, also in retrograde motion, along with Jupiter that's in retrograde to the full moon, there's a lot of reflection. This really is a period of reflection and thinking deeper and reviewing, and not necessarily about taking action. So when all these planets start moving forward again, we have a clearer idea as to where we're going and heading, and the impetus to really drive forward is there. So as I mentioned, we do a tarot reading at the end of each report, and it's on behalf of the collective. And so I just ask for very simple questions related to this full moon to get a sense of what might be playing out for all of us. So I'm just going to shuffle the cards. They have been given a good shuffle already. And the questions that I'm exploring on behalf of the collective for the full moon happening in Aquarius are: What is the moon? What is the full moon in Aquarius wanting from me? And the card that has jumped out is the Ace of Wands, which is very beautiful, new creative beginnings. And the next question is, what compromises are being asked of us? What compromises are being asked of us? And I ask this question because of this Leo-Aquarius tension axis that's playing out. Leo wanting to serve self, and Leo wanting to stand out as an individual, versus Aquarius, which is more about serving a community vision. So what compromises are asked of us? The next question is, what expansion in our lives is possible? And what is needing to be released during this full moon, as full moon is a period of release and culmination. All right, so our first card for what is the full moon in Aquarius wanting, we have the Ace of Wands. So the next question is, what compromises during this period are being asked of us? What compromises during this period are being asked of us? All right. And then the third question is, what expansion in our lives is possible? What expansion in our lives is possible? What expansion in our lives is possible during this full moon? Okay. And then lastly, what is needing to be released? And the card that I have here is the Three of Cups in reverse. All right. Okay, so the first question is, what is the moon, the full moon in Aquarius wanting of us? And we have the Ace of Wands. So the Ace of Wands talks about new creative beginnings. And there's a spiritual component to it. I feel that this new creative beginning is connected to the new moon, potentially around, that has to do with the Leo energy of really connecting and tapping in, and potentially experiencing tension, because the new moon does come into a square with Uranus, and you can watch that video under the Astro Matrix playlist. However, the new moon, the full moon, is very much about this new creative beginning. So we've just been through this period of really reflecting on what it is that our needs are, what it is that we want, how it is that we want to come to the party, so to speak, as an individual. And so there's this new possibility, and it's very creative, and it's very much connected to what it is that we've been desiring within ourselves. And it's almost as if that transition is happening from it coming from the ether, because it's a cloud holding a creative rod, into manifest, into form. And so this new possibility is here. And so full moons are a period of culmination, and something in your life is completing so that this new creative beginning can happen. It's as if we've done the work and we are ready for this new beginning. So the next question is, what compromises are asked of us? And the Seven of Cups was what came up. And the Seven of Cups was in reverse. And the Seven of Cups has two potential explanations. The first one is illusion, pie in the sky, fantasy. And so this may tie into Neptune being in a square to Mercury. Being in an opposition to Mercury. And so there's a realization that we're needing to have, that we have the potential to have during this full moon, around where it is that we're holding too much rigidity or structure within our minds, and where we're needing to dissolve and let go, versus, and it's finding a balance, it's striking a balance between the two. And so with the Seven of Cups, I feel like it's really starting to get in the real with our dreams, and letting go of those things that are not serving us. So with the Seven of Cups, the card of illusion, if there are illusions that we're holding on to that are not realistic for moving forward, for our new creative beginnings, we're needing to release them as a compromise for what it is that we're wanting to create. So the Seven of Cups can also talk about possibilities, right? It can indicate that there are a few possibilities. Which one are you going to pick? And so what compromises are being asked of us to get really clear on what is needed and what isn't needed, and to choose out of these possibilities what is the one that's most aligned with us. Then the next question is, what expansion in our lives is possible? And we have the Ten of Pentacles. And the Ten of Pentacles is just such a fabulous card. It's talking about happy family. It's talking about financial abundance. It's a card of completion. So it indicates that it is possible to achieve that dream. I think to some extent it's fair to say that we all long for the same things. We long for good people around us, for love, for family, for connection, for stability, and for financial security, and as well as freedom. I feel that there's an element of freedom with this card as well, because it comes with the groundedness. So the card is saying with this full moon is possible. Having the Ace of Wands as what the full moon is, culminating us towards, is realizing that this new creative beginning is possible. The abundance that comes with it is possible, but we need to get clear and compromise on what is most important and what needs to be released, to make a choice. And then lastly, the last card is what is needing to be released. And we have the Three of Cups in reverse. And I feel that the Three of Cups in reverse is talking about how it is that we potentially focus just on our immediate groups around us, and possibly alienate others around us, or focus on only serving ourselves or perhaps our family's needs, but not the others. And possibly if there are places where we limit ourselves to, who we hang out with or where we spend our time or energy with, I feel that the Three of Cups, it's all about pleasure and joy and having fun. And so it's about learning to, first of all, embrace all of us, everybody, but also in such a way that we're having fun with it. So wherever it is in our lives that we're not allowing ourselves to have fun, not allowing ourselves to connect to pleasure, it's time to come out of that. And I feel that this full moon, especially because we have Venus in a trine to Saturn and Mars in a trine to Uranus, they're both working together towards pleasure, excitement, and fun. So there is something around our past, around not allowing ourselves to have fun, not allowing ourselves to be inclusive of everybody around us, that is up for being released during this full moon. So the card that I have on top of the deck over here is the Queen of Pentacles, and she talks about this. She's the Earth Mother in a way, and possibly this has to do with the Ceres that comes into a conjunction with the North Node, because Ceres is very much the nurturer. It's not only nurturing ourselves, but nurturing those around us. And it's important to mention that where all of these planets lie in your chart during this full moon, and you can check this out on the Astromatrix app, having a look at your chart, will allow you to understand what the areas of your lives are that are being impacted. Where does the full moon at 29 degrees lie in your chart? And so the Queen of Pentacles, she's connected to the earth, she's the mother, but she's also connected to abundance and stability and security. And so I feel that this is on offer for us. And I'm very excited to see where all of this is heading. It just feels very positive. The last few months have been incredibly intense. There have been some real challenges, and we've done the work. We've really taken the time to understand deeper what's playing out. And because of this, I feel that this full moon brings something of a reward. And so just to keep in mind that it's not necessarily, on the full moon that we experience this. Sometimes the full moon can be a build-up, an intense build-up that leads, this crescendo that leads to the release and the realization and the connection. So I wish you all the best with this full moon, And thank you so much for your time and your support. Would love to hear where what house this full moon lies in for you, and maybe you'd also like to add what has been playing out for you leading up to this full moon that you're hoping to bring into manifest. So once again, if you enjoy our content, please do like and subscribe to our channel, and wishing you all the best. Bye for now.